Hi there and welcome back, where today I'm going to be talking to you about the recently, just a few hours ago, posted SAYONAKIDORI acoustic BAND-MAID video that has appeared on their account, along with a lot of social media warnings telling you that it's only there for a limited time. I don't know how long limited is. I would say definitely if you haven't already, I'm assuming you have, but go and watch it. Go and watch it now, and then we'll talk about my opinions. But if you haven't already watched it, you're going to know that this is something really interesting because, you know, BAND-MAID are... watch and obtain, should you wish. BAND-MAID are one of those groups who they like to do things that are a little bit different. I've very often complimented how good their songwriting is, how interesting their songwriting is, but I think even as a really well-written hard rock band, you do also need to have the ability to go into different areas of music as well, just to show that you have got other creative outputs, that you are thinking about more than just what you do and you're not being held to one genre. It just kind of, if anything, it more shows how much you love the genre that you do if you can also enjoy doing other things and still come back to your core sound. Now, when it comes to acoustic music, that's one of many things they've done. Obviously, we've talked to anyone who's a fan will already know that they've had things like BAND-MAID, where they did the sort of crossover with traditional Japanese instruments. Miku herself has had the cluppo side project going into a pop area. This is, and we've had members actually like, obviously we know a couple of members, Kanami and also Akane have been they kept on doing Mochi to Cheese, which is an acoustic band after BAND-MAID started, from what you guys have told me. Thank you, BAND-MAID fandom. But I did really enjoy the acoustic set that these guys did last Christmas, I believe it was, and I've been talking more and more about how I want to do a video specifically about that, but as this came up today, it was something that it just kind of really reminded me of just how interesting BAND-MAID are acoustic. And when I saw them back in 2020 at the Line Cube show in Shibuya, there was a bit of an acoustic set in that as well, and I remember being blown away by the fact that not many bands really do what BAND-MAID do, which is, in the same way that they showed so much care and attention to doing those side projects that they've done as well, and to the little songs like About Us, the weird little occasional flirtations with pop that have come up in their normal fare of music, and, you know, Page was another great example of that. They really don't do something just to do it. They do it because they've actually got something to say. Imagine a movie studio who does like a reboot of a film or does a sequel just because people liked the first one. That's the territory that a lot of other bands and artists get into. But BAND-MAID, it always feels like when you get a reboot of a song or you get a sequel to something, it always feels like they did it because they knew what they wanted to do. And this is another thing that further backs up that feeling that they're a group who really has a lot of creativity. The well's not running dry, let's put it that way. Now, when it comes to SAYONAKIDORI, this is a song that, when it came out in its original guise, I really liked it. Of the Miku songs, it's probably not my favourite. I really still enjoyed Time. Rockin' Me, I think, is hard to beat just because the melody is so great. But SAYONAKIDORI I really appreciated for flirting with some rather more playful ideas. The production was very playful. I mentioned this in my original review, which I think is still on this. It is on this channel, yes. So you can go back and check that if you want. See how incoherent and disconnected my opinions are now, over a year after it originally came out. But I really liked it. I just remember, and I still feel that occasionally when you listen to that album version, it feels a little bit like sometimes it gets to the point of maybe being overly playful, that it doesn't quite sync up perfectly. Maybe some of the production elements, it feels like certain sections don't flow into each other as well as they could. Then you get to this version and suddenly that's all smoothed away. One of my arguments would be that of all the Miku-led songs that we're used to from BAND-MAID, SAYONAKIDORI often feels like the longest. And I don't necessarily mean that in a totally bad way, but it doesn't quite fly by in the way that many of the other more just immediately catchy and simpler songs like Time and Rockin' Me do. However, this version, at over 5 minutes, acoustic, really shot by with less ingredients. And I think to me that shows how wonderfully written the song is at its core. I loved that when we were listening to it this time around, we really got to take in the subtlety of a lot of the things that were happening there. Big credit for the fact that just the solidity of Misa's both bass sound and bass playing in this. You really got to hear that musicianship come to the forefront. She did a fantastic job of underpinning everything, and Akane was really, really channeling the Mochi to Cheese vibes. There were even a couple of moments where I heard a bell tree, and I thought, That is both cheeky and I love it. It's not often that any drummer doing music like BAND-MAID would get to use a bell tree, and I just thought that's brilliant. She could clearly just bring her Mochi Tochi's equipment with her when she needs to. So yeah, I was really just getting a chance to take in the beauty of the musicianship in that much more simple, much more free sound where it was coming across. And although we don't expect Miku to play anything hugely complicated. Now, admittedly, we all think of her as the junior guitarist at Konami, but she has been learning for over a decade now, so there's no excuse not to be a really good guitarist. And I do think she is a much better guitarist than often we hold her to the expectation of being, and the same goes to her singing as well. Because, you know, her presence is often her personality, and she, as I've also often said, she doesn't need to go and excel too much. All the members are so good as virtuosos. She really needs to be there to be the solidity. She really is the member who holds the band together, both in image and also in having the ability to just play those core rhythm sounds at the center. But when it came to this song, again, it just worked because Misa and Akane would do it, so I keep on mispronouncing the A, so I'm always a bit tentative about saying Akane's name. But Akane and Misa both were doing the core sounds so tightly that I felt that she got to strum here in a very loose way. It's a very easy song to play on rhythm, but really get to put a lot of passion into it. You could hear now a song like this is just a cakewalk for Miku. And so there was more room to put passion into the vocals. She really got a lot of vocal expression there. Her voice held up wonderfully. She showed that despite her original choice when setting up BAND-MAID to bring in Saiki, which I think is still a fantastic choice, she can now lead songs and lead bands without any problem on her own. I think we got a really mature side of her here, which we've just started to get used to now. And it was, as I say, just allowing the fundamental good writing qualities of a song to come across. That simpler arrangement also meant that you could hit the changes felt like they flowed a bit better. Everything about this felt smooth. It felt just wonderful. Made the song in a weird way better. I'm not in any way disrespecting the original. I still really love the original version of Sayonakidori. However, this to me rivaled it. I would say that as much as I enjoy Sayonakidori as a rock song, there are other rock songs that I would like for that same mood more. Whereas when it comes to an acoustic song, admittedly there's probably less competition, but there are less acoustic songs that I would put in place of this acoustic version of Sayonakidori. I think this would be more likely to find its way onto an acoustic playlist of songs for me than the original would be to find its way onto like a rock or a pop rock playlist for me. So that must be said to be a very strong quality. Anyway, these are just brief thoughts, and it's a very simple video of a song we've all heard before, but I thought it was really worth talking about the key things that this highlights and just how much I enjoyed it. So anyway, as always, get in the comments, tell me what you think. Tell me if there's any songs that you really think that they could do an interesting acoustic version of that they haven't. Tell me if there's anything interesting, like any interesting side projects you want to do for the future. We've heard some really fun ones before, like the idea of maybe having a Saiki jazz band. There's some great ideas out there. Anyway, let me know what you guys think, as always, and until I hopefully see you very soon for the next one of these. For now, ciao, ciao.